look out for that. Now let's come on to the issue of Tulsi Gabbard and the director of national intelligence, because she has released some files and some infographics on Twitter here, on X rather, on the question of Russiagate. So Americans will finally learn the truth, she said, about how in 2016 intelligence was politicized and weaponized by the most powerful people in the Obama administration to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Trump, subverting the will of the American people and undermining our democratic republic. That's what she said. Now, attached to the posting on X was an infographic that you saw on screen there, but that was followed by a series of other follow-up posts with infographics on them. So let's just have a look at some of these then. In the first, she points out that the original intel assessment was that Russia had no involvement with the 2016 election, and the last of these assessments was published on the 7th of December 2016. The following day, the president's daily briefing was delayed because apparently Obama had asked the Intelligence Committee to reassess the situation, and basically he was effectively instructing them to find that Russia was interfering with the election or had interfered with the election. And then by the 9th of December, the Intelligence Committee decided that they were prepared to produce an assessment as per the president's request. Now, that same day, they then leaked claims that Russia had interfered with the election to a compliant legacy media. And finally, she highlights that 3 years later, the Intelligence Committee, an Intelligence Committee member admitted that the Steele dossier that the UK's GCHQ head Robert Hannigan had earlier delivered to CIA Director John Brennan had led the Intelligence Committee to their conclusion that Russia was involved in election interference. Now, there's a few points to make here, Patrick. One is that there is nothing really new here in a sense, because other than it's perhaps an official acknowledgement of what investigators have been known for years. I'm talking about the likes of you and us and others that have been looking into this. But aside from mention of the Steele dossier, there's very little mention of Britain's role in all this. The focus is all on Obama. So let's just remind ourselves of the key players here. Here's Robert Hannigan, GCHQ director that we mentioned a second ago. But we should also remember, and let's look at this lot. We've got Richard Dearlove, Christopher Steele, of course, wrote the Steele dossier, the Trump dossier, Stefan Halper, Alexander Downer, Joseph Mifsud, Felix Satter, all involved in targeting George Papadopoulos.
Yeah, setting up George Papadopoulos, because that was the first original setup to create this idea that Papadopoulos was somehow in a Russian chain, a spy ring or something, that were infiltrating the Trump administration. And that's how they got the first FISA warrant. That's how the FBI pushed through that first FISA warrant, to surveil members of the Trump team and the Trump transition team and the Trump administration. So that's how it all started. And there's quite a few British operatives in there on that last slide.
Absolutely. And one or two more here, because of course, roughly the same time that was going on in the United States, there was also a Russiagate UK operation going on involving Sergei Skripal and the claims of so-called Novichok attacks. And what else did we have? Christopher Steele, in fact, involved with not only the Trump dossier, but the Intelligence Committee in the UK, their Russia report, and also involved in the Intelligence Committee's Huawei dossier as well. So, this was something that was ongoing. But my question, Patrick, is why is Tulsi Gabbard releasing this information now? Is this just something that was going to happen anyway, or is there something special about this time?
It just has such a partisan feel to it. It's sort of like, pushing back on getting the Dems, getting Obama. And this is basically red meat to the MAGA crowd, to Fox News, at a time when there's another story that is absolutely destroying MAGA, which is, of course, the cover-up of the Epstein scandal. And so the timing of this, Tulsi pushing this out right in the middle of the whole Epstein thing. And the implications, Mike, are serious on Epstein, because the implications are that Epstein belonged to intelligence, U.S., Israeli, or both. We don't know. Oh, and there's a third country in there that maybe Epstein is also involved with
Or could that be Britain by any chance?
I'm just thinking, because Ghislaine Maxwell, being the daughter of Robert Maxwell, and you think, and the royals involved, do you think the British intelligence are not involved in Epstein? That would be very naive, and I, of course, would not be surprised if that were the case. But, of course, we can't prove anything, can we? No one can prove anything, because this story is about to be thrown to the bottom and locked in Davy Jones's locker. So this is where we're at right now. We'll bring this up on screen here. Justice Department told that Trump in May, mind you, a couple months ago, that his name is among many in the Epstein files here. This is the Wall Street Journal. Trump is suing them at the moment. Okay, just bear that in mind. White House pushes back after reports that Donald Trump was told in May that he was mentioned multiple times in the DOJ documents relating to sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. This is somebody that Trump has disavowed, saying, I didn't know him. He's a creep. Why is everybody talking about the Epstein story? So, I mean, no one's really buying Trump's cope on this. So while all this is happening, something else just flies under the radar, Mike. Flies under the radar, and it's this story. Let's take a look at this up on screen. DOJ is meeting Jeffrey Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, is happening. This meeting happening after Maxwell initiated contact with the DOJ. Who's in the driving seat here? It looks like Maxwell's in the driving seat. Is she trying to get a plea deal here? It does look like that. Let's take a look at this. This is interesting. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. This is the power behind the throne, okay? Not Pam Bondi. This is the guy. Todd Blanche and Maxwell, they met downtown Tallahassee, Florida, at the U.S. Attorney's Office, which is located inside the federal courthouse. Now, she's already been through trial. They've already had discovery. What more could they know, or would they, she could tell them that hasn't been told already and is not in all of the exhaustive court documents, Mike? This is getting interesting, isn't it? Let's take a look at this. And just further on from this. Today, this is Blanche, today I met with Ghislaine Maxwell, and I will continue my interview of her tomorrow. The DOJ will share additional information about what we learned at the appropriate time. That's the key words. At the appropriate time, which means potentially never.
Or perhaps when it has the most political impact. Is that possible?
Right. And the thing is, what will they reveal? What will Ghislaine Maxwell reveal to the DOJ? Just enough to get a plea deal, right? And not enough to incriminate anybody important? I think we're looking at a little bit of a cover-up here. Here's Blanche. And so President Trump has told us to release all credible evidence. If Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and the DOJ will hear what she has to say. Okay? Now, they've already booked a deposition in prison for August 11th. They're going to get a deposition from Maxwell from her prison on August 11th. So that's in 2 weeks. And then what's going to happen with that? It could get mothballed. But this is powerful leverage behind the scenes,
right? Because
the information can be used to lean on the president, to lean on Congress. There's a number of VIPs in there, a lot of important people. Okay, now, would Israel ever run an espionage or blackmail operation on U.S. soil? I mean, who would think of such a thing? But yet, we reported on this in 2014. This is confirmed. Bill Clinton was blackmailed by Netanyahu over the Monica Lewinsky sex tapes. Netanyahu had recordings of their sex texting and phone conversations, and he was using it to lean on the Clinton administration to release Israeli spy Jonathan Pollard, one of the most controversial Israeli spies ever. And he eventually got his release, but under Trump 1.0, I think it was Obama, right before Obama's last term. So Pollard went on. He's very pro-genocide now, by the way. But there he is. That's Netanyahu meeting with Clinton, basically telling him who's boss. I mean, this is how it went down. So we've been reporting on this for a long time. So this is the point here. There's pedigree. Israel's run blackmail operations against U.S. officials, against the president of the United States, sitting president, in the past, plus a whole bunch of other scandals, the Franklin scandal, all sorts of spy rings that were busted, the Levant affair. I mean, so just, deductive reasoning here, Mike. There's a high probability that that's exactly what we're looking at here with Epstein. But again, don't ignore or underestimate the potential of other government involvement in this as well.